We got a big game tonight, Dolphins versus Bills. This is going to shake up a lot of lineups for fantasy football. We're going to show you why here in a little bit because we're going to deep dive this matchup. We're going to see how the fantasy points are going to be scored, how this game's going to look like, try to predict the game script so we get a better feel of what's going to happen with our fantasy football players. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're deep diving every single game this season. We got rankings to help you set your lineups. On top of that, we're going deep on the waiver wire, looking at that multiple times throughout the week. And we're doing deep dives on all the trending players throughout the year. Click that button. Stop missing out. Ric Flair's watching. Do not disappoint him. You must subscribe. But we got an interesting game here on paper. A 49.5 over-under. And look at the spread here, 12.5 point spread. That means the Bills should be road dogging the Dolphins up and down the field. They should be scoring a lot of points. We should get some pushback late in the game. That's what Vegas is saying. That's what they're saying. So we got a high implied point total, so even if it hits the under, there should be a lot of points scored. And we look at the last 5 meetings, historically, and this is since the second game of 2022, they've been high scoring. They've been high output. It's been Buffalo road dogging the Dolphins, 27-17 on average. Rushing yards, each of them on average eclipsing 100 yards. Passing attempts, both of them above 30. Those are some interesting notes there. The passing yards a little bit lower for the Dolphins, 238 for the Bills. But really, when you think about that, last year, they had 2 weird game scripts where it was very run-heavy. That second game, Tua got hurt. That was the late-night game where the Dolphins got banged up. This is going to be an interesting matchup. Can the Bills take advantage of this weak Dolphins secondary? You're looking at Josh Allen. I doubt many of you guys are looking at him and thinking you're going to bench him. Odds are he's going to at least get you double-digit PPR fantasy points. He just does not hit single digits, rarely at all. And then you're looking at Tua Tagovailoa. He's a wild card, but with the upside. Really depends on what happens. That first game in week 2, we had 7 points. That next one, we put up 19.9, a QB2 performance. Most of the time when he's out there on the field, he's at least giving you QB2 level play. Over the last year or so, he's only gave you really 3 down weeks when he's healthy and out there on the field. This is a good matchup for garbage time. And really, you're only looking to start him if you're not looking good at quarterback this week. You're looking at what the Dolphins are giving the quarterbacks. They're getting road dogged by quarterbacks. Daniel Jones, Drake May. Now you got Josh Allen. Things are looking good for him. You're looking at what the Bills are giving up. Lamar Jackson's Lamar Jackson. Like, you cannot predict that. And then the Jets were a mess last week, and that game script broke. So hopefully the game script doesn't completely break in this game, really killing our matchup, where the Bills could get so far ahead that it really impacts the run game. But on top of that, Devin Achane, just nasty. He was nasty against the Bills last year. He gets a lot of work in the passing game, a 22% target share so far in the year, a 36% opportunity share. Sure, the Bills are around league average when it comes to allowing fantasy points to running backs. Derrick Henry went off. Breece Hall held in the check. However, the Jets were held in check in general, and that was a busted game script. As long as this game script doesn't bust up, and I think Achane's actually safe. He's not really game script dependent due to his role in the passing game. Also, with some of the injuries we're going to cover here in a few seconds, Devin Achane's very safe in this matchup. And again, who else thinking about benching him right now? Nobody is. Now you're looking at the wide receivers. Now you guys are thinking about benching some of these guys. It makes sense. Really depends on how stacked you are at wide receiver. But Tyreek Hill coming into this game, he has not been living up to par. He does have one wide receiver 2 game this season, 16.9 points last week against the Patriots. So things might be trending up. However, last season, Tua's banged up a bit. The Dolphins were banged up a bit. The Dolphins are rough right now. They've been in some rough game scripts. You're looking at Jaylen Waddle. He's questionable. He's testing the shoulder. He's testing if he's ready. This could lead to targets being funneled to Hill. this could be a good thing. Malik Washington is another wide receiver you need to pay attention to. If Waddle's out, expect some extra targets to go his way. Hill's rocking a 21% target share right now, and his ability to get yards after the catch in the right moment is what you're looking for. He has 10 catches, 149 yards on the season, 13 targets on the year. Numbers are looking solid. His ADOT is 16.2. Any wide receiver over a 20% target share, and ADOT even in double digits, let alone 16.2, 15 plus. That's average depth of target. That's the travel distance of the ball in the air when it's getting targeted to the wide receiver. So deeper balls mean better opportunities for that player to hit. You're looking at what the Bills are giving up the wide receivers. Zay Flowers hit. And then against the Jets, that was a busted game script. Quarterbacks got busted in that game. So it's really hard to peg them out right now. But there's potential here with garbage time, with a lot of points scored, that we get some pushback. Tyreek Hill, high in flex, potential wide receiver 2 for this week. I am very skeptic because he has not been hitting, but really when you look at the numbers, he can also give you a lot of upside. He has 4 spike weeks last year, which is on par with a lot of top wide receivers that are spiky and volatile. So he is just going to be looked upon as a spiky, volatile play. Jaylen Waddle, I don't really trust him. I have him in my rankings video, but it's at the tail end of it. So he's very malleable, and that's not a joke with the shoulder, but still, he's very malleable when it comes to start-sit decisions. Like, you can have him in or out. He is a big risk. This is a good matchup when it comes to scoring and potential with the garbage time or potential how the ball flows. But still, I think Tyreek Hill, fine. I'm not 100% optimistic, but I also see how he can get you there this week. You're not looking at the tight ends. You're not looking at the tight ends. One might sneak a touchdown. That could happen. You're just not looking at them in traditional redraft. That's the main reason why people are looking at this video. If you're playing daily fantasy football and you're just playing this game, sure, you're gambling on a cheap salary, but you're stuffing in higher priced players, and you're just hoping for that touchdown. You know what you're going to do. Really, in traditional leagues, you're not looking at this. James Cook is good to roll. He is good to roll here. The only downside is that the Bills get so far up that they don't have to use them. That is the only downside. That is the only gamble. Everything else on paper looks good for him. So that is how he could bust on you. More than likely, you're getting an RB1 week. But if the Bills road dog him so bad that they can just sit back with Ray Davis and Ty Johnson, that could potentially happen. That is in the realm of possibilities. You're starting him. Nobody's benching him. But I talk about everything I know. I talk about the realm of possibilities. There are no certainties. That is definitely in the cards for the night. But the odds are pretty good that we get RB1 status. That's what it's saying on paper. Everything's looking solid. Now, when you're looking at the wide receivers for the Buffalo Bills, things are not clear-cut. We have a good carousel effect here with the Buffalo Bills that's trending very hard to be very random here when it comes to fantasy production. You're looking at routes per game. Keon Coleman's winning it above Khalil, Shakir, and Josh Palmer, but not by much. Khalil, Shakir, 29.5. Palmer at 28. So things are getting spread around too when you're looking at the targets here. 14 for Keon Coleman. He had a lot in that first game. Palmer, 7. Khalil, 7. Palmer led them last week. And it's whoever gets the deep target. And I like this matchup for these wide receivers as random flex plays. If you're stacked, you got good wide receivers that are a little bit more dependable. That's fine. I believe one of these guys are going to hit for you, and I believe a second one of these wide receivers are going to be all right. If I had to guess, or my preferences, Palmer might be the safer play considering last week. I think Keon Coleman packs the most boom for your buck here. He has more upside. He can get those deep targets. We saw what he can do in week 1. We could definitely see that. Also, the Miami secondary, as we saw in preseason, training camp a little bit this year with that first game against the Colts, is they can get beat with that deep ball. That lends the notion of Keon Coleman. Shakir's still out there. He's getting targets. He's running routes at a good clip, 78%. Palmer's out there, 74%. Keon's out there, 85%. So there's going to be more opportunities. I would not be surprised if Elijah Moore gets a little bit more work. He looked good in training camp. They've been liking him, getting a lot of buzz. If you're looking for a cheap play to gamble with, if you're doing DFS for just this game, Elijah Moore, who will allow you to cram in the higher priced players if you want to make that gamble. He is running 10 routes per game, a 26% route participation rate, 2 targets on the season. But if this game gets a little bit out of hand, he might get a little bit extra work in the slot. My rankings for this, even though it's up in the air, Keon, Palmer, Shakir, with Palmer and Shakir up in the air, dice roll. Now we're looking at the tight ends. If you're trying to moneyball the tight end position, Dalton, Kincaid's fine. If you've been hit up with injuries and you had to use them, this is an okay matchup for him. The Dolphins are very good when it comes to allowing fantasy points to tight ends. Tyler Warren hit him in their first ever NFL game. Hooper got a little bit against him. So things are looking good. Dawson, Knox, if you're looking for a cheap play in daily fantasy football to throw in there, he's running 19.5 routes per game. That's actually a good bit for a tight end. He's had 11 routes in the slot, a 52% route participation rate, 7 targets on the season. He's due to score a touchdown with that work rate in any given moment. There's going to be volume in this game. If you're looking for a daily fantasy football play on the cheap so you can stuff in higher priced players, this could be another good option for you. And he's getting the work that could get you to hit on that gamble. He's got a 10% target share, which is good for a tight end too. There's good volume here. When you're looking at a tight end too on the cheap, redraft-wise, no, but maybe a future pickup if something happens to Kincaid. One of these tight ends going down will be very beneficial to the other tight end when it comes in terms of consistent fantasy football scoring. This is the deep dive of the Thursday night matchup, Buffalo Bills, Miami Dolphins, to help you with your start-sit decisions. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I want to hear about that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.